Q24. Are many Bible accounts of miracles scientifically impossible and hence fictitious? Many who are versed in science discredit Bible based on many accounts in the Bible that seemingly go against the law of nature and hence unscientific. They consider those accounts fictitious. Here are some of those accounts. A. On the third creative day, God exposed some of the earth's surface above the water, causing dry land to appear, and also created vegetations of all kinds to grow. Genesis 1:9-13. Since sun was created on the fourth day, Genesis 1:14-19, how can this be possible? How can vegetation survive without the sun? B. The sun, the moon, and the stars were created on the fourth day. Genesis 1:14-19. Bible indicates that earth already existed before the sun, the moon, and the stars were created on the fourth day. How could this be possible? Isn't earth made up of stars from supernova explosions as commonly believed in today's science? And didn't the whole universe, including all the galaxies, stars, and planets, including Earth, come into existence by Big Bang 13 years ago? C. Yahweh. God divided the Red Sea during the exodus of Israelites from Egypt so that Israelites can cross and escape from Egyptians. Exodus 14:1-31. D. Yahweh. God flooded the earth so that all people, animals, and birds on earth would die, except for Noah's family, the animals and birds in Noah's ark. Genesis chap 6-7. A. Yahweh. God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah by raining down sulfur fire from the sky. Genesis chap 19. F. Yahweh God brought 10 different miraculous plagues to Egypt to free Israelites from bondage. Exodus chap 7-12. G. Yahweh God split the Red Sea. Exodus chap 14. H. Sound of war cry of Israelites made the wall of Jericho crumble. Joshua chap 6. I. Yahweh. God rained down hailstones on Amorites at Gibeon. Joshua 10:11. J. Yahweh. God held the sun in the middle of the sky while Israelites fought against Amorites at Gibeon. Joshua 10:12-14. How can sun stay in the middle of the sky for many hours? For this to happen, Earth's rotation has to stop suddenly, which will cause catastrophic shock to the Earth due to sudden disruption in the Earth's constant rotational movement. Earth's surface is moving at roughly 1,000 miles per hour, which means everything on the surface of the Earth, including humans, are moving at that speed constantly. If Earth's rotation stops suddenly, everything on the Earth will experience abrupt deceleration of speed from 1,000 miles per hour to 0 mile per hour. This sort of abrupt change in speed will cause such catastrophic shock that everything on Earth will undergo severe destruction. However, Bible account does not mention such destruction when this happened. For this reason, this sort of miracle seems scientifically impossible. These are only some examples of countless miracles mentioned in the Bible. And yes, it is true that all of the above Bible accounts seem unscientific and, hence, impossible. Therefore, it is easy to conclude that they are fictitious. And many among unbelievers justify their unbelief by reasoning that if those accounts are nothing more than fiction, the likelihood is high that the rest of the Bible is also fiction. However, if unbelief in the Bible is based on scientific reasoning, and we use science as the standard stick by which we measure what is truth and what is not, we must first answer whether science is necessarily trustworthy. Can we trust all scientific findings as irrefutable truth? If one thinks the answer is yes, one has to ask, why then, are scientific findings keep on getting revised over time? Was Newtonian physics not superseded by Einstein's theory of relativity? Newtonian physics may work well enough to be useful in the vicinity of the Earth, but it does not work well enough to account for phenomena that occur in the outer space or at very high speed or large gravity. Is speed of light absolute limit of speed in the universe as widely accepted truth? If so, how do we explain the phenomenon of quantum entanglement, where two entangled particles, particles from same source, seem to signal each other instantly, no matter how far apart they are, to maintain their relative spin magnetic moment relationship. For this to be possible, the signaling has to take place at literally infinite speed, which violates Einstein's postulate that speed of light is the absolute limit of achievable speed in the universe. Even Einstein described this absolutely baffling and mysterious phenomenon as spooky action at a distance, and attempted to deny the realness of this phenomenon by dubious reasoning, but eventually it was proven to be real by other scientists. What about quantum physics? Do we fully understand the behavior of ever-increasing number of mysterious and elusive elementary particles, such as quarks, leptons, bosons, etc.? No. This is why the particle physics model has to be revised endlessly. Aside from quantum-level behavior of nature, do we understand the macro behavior of the universe? Do we understand why the expansion of universe is accelerating instead of decelerating as previously understood science predicted? The theory goes, since, after the so-called Big Bang, which is supposed to have spread the matter apart at the beginning of the universe, all matter in the universe has to collapse back due to the gravitational force of all the matter in the universe exerting on each other, and, hence, deceleration in expansion was previously predicted. However, instead of decelerating, surprisingly, exact opposite is happening. Why? No one knows, and there is no way to explain this. So scientists introduce the term dark energy as a way of explaining this, which they speculate to cause the acceleration in expansion. So does dark energy really exist? No one knows. So this is nothing more than a speculation to explain the unexplainable fact. Do we understand why spinning galaxies stay as they are without falling apart as previously understood science predicted? No. Based on the theory of existing physics, due to the centrifugal force generated by the stars spinning around the center of each galaxy, it is predicted that the stars have to spread out further and further and eventually losing the stars. However, this is not happening. Why? No one knows. So scientists introduced the term dark matter as a way of explaining this, which they speculate is holding the galaxies together. Has science been able to reveal the nature of dark matter, or even be able to detect it? No. Scientists tried very hard but have not been able to, and not likely will ever be able to, even though they speculate that it is everywhere and makes up 95% of the universe. So again, the existence of dark matter is only a speculation to explain the unexplainable fact. How about other areas of science, such as natural science? Have scientists been able to positively prove that evolution theory is true? No. They tried very hard, but no one has been able to show any hard proof of interspecies evolution, and not likely will ever be able to, even though they keep trying hard to stretch the unstretchable facts. Why? Because, as Bible specifically says, God made all living creatures according to their kinds. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the cattle according to their kinds, and everything that creeps upon the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Genesis 1:24-25, RSV. Same is true with vegetation. And God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind, upon the earth." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kinds, and trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Genesis 1:11-12, RSV. How about paleontology? Is paleontology a proven science? Are the age estimates of paleontological artifacts reliable enough to trust? What about the recent discovery of soft tissues containing red blood cells from Tyrannosaurus, Rex, dinosaur fossil by Dr. Mary Schweitzer in 2005? If Trex existed in what they refer to as Cretaceous period of 60 million years ago, how can this be possible? It is not. Furthermore, she was able to extract soft tissues from virtually any fossil, regardless of its established age. This discovery brings into question what was thought of as the established science of paleontology and the theory of evolutionary history, and scientists in related fields are in complete denial and try to ignore it altogether as it threatens their existing hard-established science, elaborated with seemingly sophisticated illustrations and terminologies, but largely built on far-stretched reasonings, conjectures, assertions, and speculations from dubious evidences. There is no way for such organic soft tissues to survive that long without disintegrating. There is no way to measure actual age of a fossil directly beyond the usefulness of carbon dating, which is only many thousands of years, so they use the age of surrounding geological artifacts to estimate the age. For this reason, if an animal is buried in a deep geological crack with large number of layers, its fossil can look like it came from a geologic period orders of magnitude older than its real age. So there is no way to know what we call scientific data are truly proven as facts or not. In many cases, they are not, as we have seen over the history of science. So, what can we conclude about science? Can we trust science as irrefutable truth? Absolutely not. Science is not the truth. It is only a process of finding the truth. So, if we determine something is scientific, it does not necessarily tell you whether that something is true or not. There are so many things we do not understand about the nature. Whatever scientific knowledge we currently have about the nature can only be proverbially described as scratching the surface. And yet, with what little we know, mankind has become so arrogant as to even deny the existence of Creator and rather believe in nonsensical theories such as abiogenesis and evolution, which are based on the premise that the intelligence to build self-sustaining organic life forms will automatically evolve from lifeless matter if left long enough in favorable environment. Is this premise logical? Not at all. Regardless of time given, no experiment to replicate this in the most well-controlled, favorable environment has ever succeeded in producing any type of life form, even though most fresh organic matter was used as initial condition. So what is the chance of non-organic matter turning into even the simplest form of organic life in the very unfavorable, primordial soup environment scientists speculate to have existed at the beginning of abiogenesis? Do we even know why the simplest life forms, such as single-cell amoeba, has DNA 200 times more complex than that of a human, which is considered the most evolved life form? Can a DNA strand 200 times more complex than that of a human be constructed from scratch from non-organic matter with absolutely no intelligence at all to build a simplest life form, such as single-cell amoeba? Does this even make any logical sense? Science should be based on logic. If not, it cannot be science, and yet people rather believe illogical theories, such as abiogenesis and evolution, as scientific facts. Another thing to add is the fact that the nature is so fantastically beautiful, such that there is no one who does not appreciate its beauty. You can see its magnificent beauty manifested in flowers, animals, plants all around us, and all the rest of the things that make up the nature. Is this not why everyone strives to beautify their environment by adding elements of nature or imitations of thereof, or copy it in their artistic work? How is it that the beauty of nature is in such harmony with humans' sense of beauty? If all the things in the nature just sprung up or evolved by themselves over time as abiogenesis and evolution theories claim, it implies that somehow not only all the intelligence manifested in the nature, but even the sense of beauty reflected in everything in nature came from lifeless matter that has absolutely no intelligence or sense of beauty. And the main factor in rationalizing these seemingly nonsensical concepts is time. Time explains everything. As time goes by, somehow the molecules in lifeless matter get smarter and gain the sense of beauty and automatically know how to arrange themselves into beautiful, self-sustaining, intelligent creatures. So, effectively, time equals intelligence plus sense of beauty. Does this equation make any sense or logical? Not at all. And yet many people seem to blindly believe this as truth just because they are widely accepted as science. They rather believe these illogical concepts concocted by so-called intellectual men with limited knowledge and understanding than believing in the Bible, just because they think it would be irrational to believe in God who is not visible. But is dark matter or dark energy visible or even detectable? Not at all. But they still believe their existence as scientific facts, even though they are unseen and undetectable, just because so-called scientists said so. So they put faith in the knowledge of mere humans with limited knowledge and understanding, but not in God. Why will mankind never be able to find all the secrets of nature, no matter how hard they try? Because, as King Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived beside Jesus, said, "He, God, has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in their hearts, yet so that man can't find out the work that God has done from the beginning, even to the end." Ecclesiastes 3:11. Because we are nothing more than finite creatures with limited brain power and hence limited understanding, we will never be able to understand or find all the deep secrets of nature creator God with his infinite wisdom and power designed into it. And yet, many so-called intellectuals, instead of humbly accepting their limitations in their knowledge and understanding, arrogantly dare to declare and teach that there is no creator, and people rather believe their words as wisdom than God's words in the Bible. No wonder Apostle Paul befittingly said, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God." 1 Corinthians 3:19. And further, Bible admonishes us to be humble. Pride goes before destruction, and an arrogant spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. So, can science tell us whether something is possible or not, when much of it is based on speculations? To limited extent, yes, but to large extent, it cannot, especially the things that originate from invisible realm, and the Creator resides in the invisible realm where humans do not have access to. Can science dismiss the existence of invisible realm just because it is not visible or detectable? No, it cannot. Why? Because if that is the case, it has to dismiss the existence of dark matter, dark energy, etc., which are not visible or detectable. If science allows the possibility that such things exist, it cannot preclude the possibility of existence of invisible being or realm. If science is logical, it must admit that the intelligence and the sense of beauty required to build an infinitely vast material universe with creatures of virtually infinite complexity and beauty must come from a maker with infinite wisdom and power. Does this sound too far-fetched to believe? Then, what about the things that happen inside a particle accelerator? Even scientists cannot deny the fact that miraculous things happen inside a particle accelerator where material particles literally disappear from existence or appear into existence. This phenomenon proves Einstein's equation E equals mc squared, which is literally a mathematical expression of miraculous phenomenon where invisible energy, E, transforms into visible matter, Em, and vice versa. This equation represents what was already indicated in the Bible 2,000 years ago. What is seen was not made out of things that are visible. Hebrews 11:3, ESV. If this is restated, it would read, "What is visible was made of things invisible." This biblical truth was discovered by scientists 2,000 years later and scientifically confirmed through experiments using particle accelerators. Yes, visible things, M, were made of invisible things, E, as Bible indicates. Even the Big Bang Theory, most scientists believe, assumes that it started from a singularity, meaning virtually nothing, and hence invisible, which does not disagree with this biblical truth. So Big Bang Theory allows the possibility of matter being created from something invisible, as there is no other logical clue exists. What is that something invisible or an invisible source? Well, Bible indicates that it is the Creator God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1. If God created the material universe from nothing and the law of nature governing it, which is a miracle in itself, is it so unreasonable to think that he can bend the law to perform other miracles that science cannot explain? Not at all. This is why Jesus said, "With God, all things are possible." Matthew 19:26. Although Jesus said this in an unrelated context, he likely meant this in general sense. If God is the source of energy from which material universe came into existence, just think how much energy was required to build such vast universe made of virtually infinite amount of matter. Just to give you an idea, if just 1 gram of matter is completely converted into energy, it would produce about 90 trillion joules of energy. The amount of energy released during the nuclear bomb explosion in Hiroshima, Japan during World War II, was about 60 trillion joules, which means only about 2/3 of 1 gram of matter was completely converted into energy to generate such destructive power. So you can imagine the unimaginable amount of energy that was required to build the material universe as we know it. This is how powerful the Creator God is. He is literally an omnipotent God with unlimited power. Then, one may ask, where did such omnipotent God come from, and when did he come to exist? Well, this is probably the biggest mystery of all. When Moses asked God about his identity, God said to Moses, "I am who I am." And he said, "You shall tell the children of Israel this. I am has sent me to you." Exodus 3:14. Why did he identify himself as I am who I am? Because he is the one and only self-existing supreme being and does not come from anywhere and has no beginning, and therefore, he does not have an identity of origin or reference identity, like all of his creatures who were created and therefore have identities of origin. For example, in the case of his very first creation, Jesus Christ, his reference identity is the Son of God, as he came from his Father God, as Bible describes him, the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Mark 1:1. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. Colossians 1:15. The fact that the Creator God has no beginning is incomprehensible for most people, and this is one of the stumbling blocks that prevents many people from coming to mental grips with his existence, and hence the disbelief. This is understandable because human beings are finite creatures with limited mental power. The problem is, they refuse to accept their limitation and to humble themselves to accept the possibility of such omnipotent invisible being can exist even though it is not comprehensible. This is where faith is necessary, and faith is what enables us to accept the truth of existence of invisible beings in invisible realm, as Apostle Paul said, "By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible." Hebrews 11:3 ESV. However, many who rather believe in science scoff at the belief in God by faith as nonsense as they consider it irrational and unscientific, hence their belief in atheism. Yet they do not have any problem believing in scientific conjectures such as dark energy, dark matter, etc., which are neither visible nor detectable, as well as abiogenesis, interspecies evolution, etc., which are unproven and unprovable, even though belief in them is also by faith as well. They assert that they are rational and scientific, since they only believe in things based on scientific evidence, and not by faith. But they do not realize that they actually do believe by faith as well. In effect, believing in atheism is by faith just as believing in God is by faith. Only difference is where you put your faith in. If any belief based on faith is considered a religion, atheism is also a religion. And atheism is modern-day ideological idol that people believe in by faith, just as prevalently as people believed in idols made of material images in the old times. On the other hand, there are also many among scientists who, based on evidences from their rigorous research and study, honestly come to recognize the possibility in the existence of invisible creator. Not because they are religious to begin with, but because their study leads to nothing other than this conclusion. This is no surprise, since God's existence and his infinite power and wisdom are manifested in everything in nature. Just as Apostle Paul said, "Ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature, namely, his eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made. So they are without excuse." Romans 1:20, RSV. Yes, there is no excuse not to believe in the Creator God, as he rightfully deserves our faith. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Hebrews 11:6, ESV. This is why Jesus said to Thomas, who doubted his resurrection before actually seeing him resurrected, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." John 20:29, RSV. Why did Jesus say this? Because only his disciples were to have the privilege of seeing him resurrected, and everyone else will never see him resurrected because he will be in heaven, and, hence, it requires faith for everyone else to become a believer of his promise of resurrection and everlasting life. As Jesus said, only those who believe in God, the Father, and his Son, Jesus Christ, by faith will receive the blessings of everlasting life on paradise earth.